I am Lydia Wanjiku, your Sergeant at Arms in this meeting. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hand raised so we can immediately see who is keeping the time. Our TMOD. Today, we are so privileged to have our TMOD from Kenya. And he is a professional business intelligence consultant and a Toastmaster by passion. Joined his community club, Early Birds Toastmasters in Kenya in the year 2020, and has grown as a leader in the club, the area, the division, and the district, having served as SAA, Sergeant at Arms, President, PR Manager for the district, and now Vice President Education and Public Relations Manager for his division. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, who is Toastmasters Terrence Were. Terrence Were, over to you. Let us all clap to welcome him. Welcome.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, Toastmaster Lydia Wanjiku. Today, we're going to look into the leadership story. Just like a good story, each and every leader has a beginning. Each and every leader has characters in their story. And this day, this evening, wherever you're joining us from, this morning, we're going to explore some of the leadership stories. And before we get into that, I would like to invite all the guests. Please feel welcome. For Leadership Speak, we normally start with the leadership speaker, and then we proceed with the normal meeting. So feel welcome, enjoy yourself, and we'll have a chance to greet and interact with the meeting at the end of the meeting, towards the end of the meeting. At this point, I will also let you know that we'll be having our guest book, which you are welcomed to sign so that we can reach out to you later after this meeting. As we start the meeting, we start with a toast. To give us the toast this morning, I would like to welcome Toastmaster Barbara Jarvis. Toastmaster Barbara Jarvis, the toast.
Good day, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, members and guests. I'm here to propose a toast to the theme, Tales of Triumphs. Life is a journey filled with stories of overcoming obstacles, facing challenges, and ultimately achieving success. Each of us have a unique story to tell, a tale of trials and tribulations that have shaped us into the individuals that we are today. It is through these tales that we find the strength to persevere, to push through the tough times, and to reach our dreams. But it is not just about the tales we tell. It is also about the triumphs we celebrate. It is about the moments of victory, big or small, that remind us of our resilience and determination. Whether it's landing a new job or completing a difficult project, as simply getting out of bed in the morning, each triumph brings us closer to our goals and aspirations. Toastmasters is a place where we can share our tales and celebrate our triumphs. It is a community of like-minded individuals who support and uplift each other on our journeys to personal and professional growth. Through public speaking and leadership opportunities, we learn to communicate effectively, build confidence, and become better versions of ourselves. So today, let us raise our glass to Toastmasters and the journey that we are on together. Let us toast to the tales we have shared and the triumphs we have celebrated. May we continue to inspire and encourage each other as we strive for success and excellence in all that we do. Remember, each one teaches one. Let us remember that we have and what we can offer to other Toastmasters is vital in life. I would like for you now to raise your glasses with me and repeat after me. Cheers to Toastmasters, where tales turn into triumphs every day.
Cheers to
Cheers
to
Toastmasters.
turn into triumph
Where
every day.
tales
Cheers to
triumph
Toastmasters.
every day. Thank you for the toast. To help me tell our leadership story this time, I would like to invite the role takers who are going to help me. First and foremost, I invite Toastmaster Marie Cousin, who is our timekeeper. Marie, tell us what your role entails.
Good day, fellow Toastmaster and guests. I am Marie Cousin, your timer for today, and I shall time you according to the times as per the agenda. At the end of each session, I shall post the times into the chat box. So you will see that. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marie Cousin. Our grammarian this morning is John Ojefo. John, please tell us what your role entails.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, thoughts, and saying. As grammarian, it is my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is eloquent. It's an adjective meaning characterized by fluent, forceful, and persuasive expression. An example of using this word in a sentence is as follows. She gave an eloquent speech at the club meeting. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day, and I will give my grammarian report when called upon to do so during the meeting. I will also give a report of the word usage. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster John. We segue into the first segment of our meeting. For those who are joining us for the first time, here at Leadership Speak, we normally have a leadership speaker. This is a person who expounds on the theme for 15 to 20 minutes. Sit back and enjoy yourself as we get into this first segment of the meeting. For the leadership speech this morning, we have Toastmaster Nzinga Jasse. Toastmaster Nzinga Jasse will be evaluated by Toastmaster Tony Brashis. Toastmaster Tony, please tell us what the speech
Hello,
entails.
everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Nzinga is presenting her Pathways project in the Dynamic Leadership Pathway, Level 5, Project 8, which is to prepare to speak professionally. And the objective of her presentation is to exemplify her point of view or her message in a eloquent keynote style of presentation. And please pay attention to her title, which of course will be announced in a few minutes. It is essential to her objectives. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Tony. You might be wondering who Nzinga Jasse is. Here is a brief about her. She has been a Toastmaster since 2016, and she's dialing in from Angola in Africa. She's committed to enhancing her leadership skills and those of others in Toastmasters, and of course in her professional sphere and in her personal life. The title of her speech is Weaving Your Success. Weaving Your Success, Nzinga Jasse. Nzinga Jasse, Weaving Your Success.
Stories from my childhood keep surfacing in the most different situations. The good thing is that storytelling is a powerful leadership tool. It is a tool available to all that can help affirm and enhance a leader. One of the stories from my catalog is The Tortoise and the Hare. Raise a thumb if you are familiar with this one. Thank you. I see you, Rose. Thank you, Terrence. That story was part of many evenings where my siblings and I sat without power under the stars and shared stories. I loved how the turtle, being challenged by the hare, won the race. Slow and steady wins the race, so I was told. My younger brother didn't quite agree. He was a challenger. He told us, nice story, but no way that hare would fall asleep in the middle of the race. No way. I am fast. I never fall asleep in the middle of anything I start doing. Every time we told the story, we had the same conversation. As we grew up, he kept bringing that story, calling himself a hare, always in a hurry of doing things, and saying, I won't fall asleep. We saw him growing into a challenging teenager, eloquently convincing my parents that while he was a teenager, he was ready to move and continue his studies in the States. My parents were from Angola without speaking English. I am sure I can learn, you'll see. He studied hard every night, late into the night. We would ask, aren't you tired? Don't you want to sleep? I won't sleep. I'm the hare, remember? But the hare who doesn't fall asleep in the middle of the race. That race isn't over yet for me. He learned English, went to the States, he finished high school, college, he got himself the work he wanted. He was successful. And through every stage, we heard him say, I won't sleep. I'm the hare, but I won't sleep. I won't fall asleep. Not in the middle of the race. I'll sleep when the race is done, when I achieve my goals. Then I can call success. That was very interesting to me throughout the years. I keep remembering that. We also heard here in Leadership Speak from Matt Kinsey that slow and steady is one of the lies leaders believe. considering the years gap between my brother's story and Matt's angle, I thought that's very interesting. Sometimes we get held into morals of stories, quotes, without considering the other angles. As leaders, we do have to step back often and listen. If we want to connect with others, motivate them, inform them, persuade them, we must understand them without losing our own values. We can indeed consider the other angle of a story or a quote we have. What about in a real life situation, a business situation, when the data, the numbers won't resonate with people? I am a lawyer and I am a compliance officer. You can imagine, very linked to what the law says, the rule of law. The law says that, it's written like that, going to court, arguing the law. I liked it. I nailed it. When I decided to move into the corporate world and was asked to train people, I realized I needed a different angle, a different way of doing things. Just calling the law, reading the law, it wouldn't work. I was part of a team that realized that we could incorporate stories into our trainings. Not the once upon a time stories, but real situations. Tweaked a bit because we have to protect people's data. Imagine calling people into an anti-bribery and corruption training. The title put most of the people off. Not only that, they would arrive to the training challenging us why they were called to complete that training. Are you telling that you suspect I am corrupt? Why am I here? Why does it matter? I know I'm not supposed to bribe anybody. So it was already a tough start. So what we did was incorporating some examples. Do you realize that James, who had a promising career, was fired because he had a conflict of interest with a public official that was not disclosed? That some business was awarded to a company of that public official. Then people would start to pay attention and understanding that transparency was important. So storytelling is not always about the once upon a time. It's about understanding if a situation calls for a story, what story, and how to tell it, which angle to use it. Why? Because most people do love a story. It doesn't matter if it's just for entertainment. People enjoy listening to stories. Neurological studies confirm that. We tend to pay attention 20 times more to a story. Facts inform people, make them think. Stories, emotions, make them act. How can you do that? You need a starting point. What's your story catalog? I'll ask you to think about it, even write it in the chat. Which stories do you have close to your heart, here in your head, that easily pop up? You need to have that catalog at hand. Stories from your childhood, from books you read recently, from movies you watch, quotes, keep it at hand. Consider the context. Does the situation call for a story? Is it appropriate? You don't want to tell a funny story on a very sad situation where somebody might feel that is being not taken seriously. Other times, there's no room for an eloquent, long story starting from when the hare challenged the turtle, the green the forest was, the sky was blue, the sun was shining. Sometimes it doesn't work. You have to consider all those aspects. The power of storytelling is about understanding all those elements. You have to be clear. What do you want to achieve? You are paving the way to achieve your goals. You have to be clear what success means for you, for the team, and even for the people you are trying to influence or you are trying to connect with. Consider stepping back, listening, understanding where the other person comes from to better incorporate your story. My friends and dear guests, there is a power in storytelling. We all have stories to tell. What's your story? Ask yourselves, would a situation call for a story? If so, what story? What is your goal? Would you like to motivate, persuade, inform, or entertain people? Be clear about that. Be comfortable in telling the story. We are not all in the storytelling business like Oprah Winfrey, but we do have something to say. Consider the best way to tell it to better achieve your goals. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nzinga. Indeed, when we tell our stories, we need to know which stories will make people act, the context, and as she has encouraged us, let's go out and tell our stories. Wonderful. We segue into the first speech of the meeting. And as we do that, I remind you, if you're a guest, please fill in the guest book, which will be posted in the chat so that we can get in touch after this meeting. Our second speaker is, or rather our first speaker, we had the education speaker, now we have the first speaker, is Toastmaster Sandra Valks. Toastmaster Sandra Valks will be evaluated by Toastmaster Irene Sadia. Toastmaster Irene, please tell us what Sandra's speech entails.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Terrence. Sandra, the purpose of Sandra's speech today is to reflect on how far she has come. So she is completing her Engage Humor pathway. Our compassionate Queen of Straight Talk is going to tell us what she has learned about herself, the skills she has developed, and how this path is going to affect her life outside Toastmasters. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Irene. Congratulations, Sandra. You have completed your Engaging Humor path. A vital aspect of growth is reflecting on how far you've come and where you plan to grow. We are looking forward to hearing what you've learned about yourself and the skills that you've developed and how the humor path has affected your life outside of Toastmasters. We can't wait to hear this. Fellow Toastmasters, help me welcome our compassionate Queen of Straight Talk as she presents My Trip Around Humor, Sandra. Sandra, the virtual floor is yours.
Sorry, thought I had everything set up. Ha ha. There's your first lesson. Laugh at your mistakes. But you know what? We need humor. We truly need humor. This has been my lifelong discovery. Finding my own lightness through all the heavy experiences. Finding my own laughter and inviting you to find yours. After decades of others' expectations, trying to read minds. After decades of pain, trying to be enough. After decades of walking on eggshells, I finally got it. I discovered it. I am me. And me is all I need to be. Me, when we can discover that, you know, I realized that I was the forever Pollyanna, that sweet little Pollyanna, a proper Pollyanna, always looking at the bright side, even through the pain. A joyful, laughing girl. I can look back and see all the times I would laugh, even sometimes when I was crying in the pain. I would be laughing, thinking, what a joke this is. Yes, yes, yes. And I will tell you about my humor path in a couple seconds, but drum rolls, please, because the next path is dynamic leadership. Serious, heavy, dynamic leadership. Sounds very heavy to me and serious. What am I going to do with that? You know, this is my third path, and I've got a fourth one. I've kind of 4 paths I've been on. And every one of them has the same first 3 levels. Drives me crazy. It drives other people crazy. Me? I say, well, what am I going to do with that? I went through the old legacy program, the Competent Communicator. I have at least 5 books that are recorded and many more speeches I gave, of course. We all speak all the time, everywhere. Those first 3 levels are just the old legacy program. So they're the same on every path. So what do you do with that? Well, I thought, I know, this is humor. Did they teach me anything about humor in my first 3 levels? No. Other pathways have discover your communication style, discover your leadership style. Came to humor? No, don't bother. Don't. It just tells you discover your humor, but it doesn't tell you how. It doesn't break them out. So I thought to myself, even when I go to my icebreaker, I'm going to look at that. How is it going to be different than my other million icebreakers? I'm going to think about introducing myself from the funny things that have happened to me or the painful things that have happened to me. Because whether they're painful or funny, if you keep it on the side, we'll know that there's funny in there because God ain't done with me yet. There will always be something to zing in there. Even at my son's funeral, giving the eulogy, I was tears and laughter. Went through the sad stuff, punched back in with something funny that he had done to look at his situation as he was closer to dying. So as I reflect, I hope you get the idea that going through all those paths, those same first 3 levels, really take a chance on humor. And you're going to have to do your own work and come in from that perspective. So what am I going to do with dynamic leadership? I'm going to come at it with, okay, keeping dynamic leadership in mind, how am I going to develop that project? And because I am who I am, if I don't have lightness with it, I might as well stay home because I am going to be true to me. Life is nothing if it isn't an adventure. I have learned that all my life. I've always looked for the adventure. Squirrel, squirrel, focus. Oh, darn, squirrel. I prefer the squirrels. And even with that, somehow my focus has brought me through 30 years of Toastmasters, through 40 years of insurance sales, through a divorce, through a painful 3-year nasty divorce, through the loss of my son, through the loss of my teaching career. A lot of losses. But life is still an adventure. As if it's not examined, the unexamined life, I have to read this quote, the unexamined life is not worth living. That one you've heard is a famous dictum, supposedly uttered by Socrates for his impropriety, and shortly after was executed. But he had examined his life. I refuse to reach the end of my life and have any regrets. Bucket list? Don't have one. So let me get back to this humor path. I had to just really think about it. When I first came to Leadership Speak in, I think it was November 2021, the first year anyhow. And I thought, oh, how wonderful. This is why I'm here. I love all these cultures. I'm going to have so much fun learning from people all over the world. And then I was dismayed with how serious we're all supposed to be, because this is serious study work. You got to do it this way. You have to. Oh, man. I'm going to be me anyhow. And I will be enough anyhow. And each of you are enough anyhow. Yes, we polish and we grow. That's what it's about. That's what Toastmasters has done for me, given me this safe space to experiment, this safe space to try things on. And I invite you to do the same thing. Indeed, like Rozy, Rana, and Paramjeet Singh, they both courageously went through the engaging humor. I know there's been others, but I didn't see any of the funny. You really have to work and stretch yourself in this post, because it didn't teach me anything about humor until about level 4 and 5. There was 1 or 2 places where they actually taught us something about humor. That was very dismaying. So if you're going to have the strength to go through humor, you're going to have to also bring the strength of Rozy and Paramjeet and myself to find what's funny. How do I come into this kind of a project and bring in some lightness? I learned with my feedback that people, when it was engaging humor, expected it to be, ha, 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 ha. Where are those jokes, Sandra? Where is that funny? They want, and the feedback sometimes would be, well, I thought there'd be some jokes in there and really funny and a belly laugh. And I said, that's not my style. I'm not really good at telling somebody else's joke. I'm only good at being this Pollyanna, this Sandra. And so my comical is I always have a chuckle. I always have a smile, and I just love it. And sometimes I get into a belly laugh. But you have to discover your own humor style. And you will find that even in the boardroom, because that's what this is about. As a study group, as a Toastmaster, we want to be able to fit anywhere. And as silly as sometimes people see me, I know how to behave in a boardroom. And I'll also know how to break the tension in the boardroom. And appropriately. And that's because I can experiment with it here in Toastmasters. So that was the first feedback I got was, I thought there'd be some jokes. Well, Rozy and Paramjeet both were really great at building in jokes. They did a different style of research. And I can see such a change in both of them in presenting even the serious stuff now. This is the gift that comes from finding that way through it. You can be you in whatever topic you're going to have. The next feedback I had was that I achieved compliments for just being me. And with my lightness, your lightness came through just being Sandra. And that was my greatest gift. The validating that being authentic, being me, knowing how to deal with serious work. Indeed, I've done decades of serious work. Decades. Compliance. Ask the life insurance business and investment business about compliance and regulations. That's serious work. And I did it. But you know what? I still had to be me, even with the clients. Couldn't be anybody else. Why would I do that to myself? The greatest feedback I had in terms of growing was to say, Sandra, here you go. You got to stop laughing before you tell the joke. I was getting so anticipated about telling the joke. I was laughing at my own joke before I got to tell you. And see, I was laughing like this before I told you what the punchline was. It takes, I don't know if it's courage, but it takes self-restraint when you just want to have fun. And here comes, I'm going to tell them this story. I'm going to tell this story. How I pictured myself going off stage and bunking my nose. And I was so worried, and the sweat line was under. Oh, I was on stage and I was a mess. My knees were knocking. And you know what I did? I stood there, I took my breath, and I stayed on stage and sang my little song. When I was 12, and I had won a singing contest. And I was at the beautiful Albert College here in town, the private school. And we were in the chapel for the contest. Or I guess it wasn't a contest, it was the music teacher showing off his kids' celebration. And I was so scared. I was a little country kid in this beautiful chapel. And Mom and I came in just on time as usual and had to walk up the entire aisle to the front to get on stage. It was petrifying for me. And my little heels went click, click, click on the marble floor, click, click, click. And I got up on the stage and I looked over at Mr. Boyce at the piano and he started the music. And there I am. Breathing. I didn't know enough to do it. I was just, let's catch my breath. And he did the introduction and I was still catching my breath. And I looked over at him. He just started again, very calmly. And I looked over at him again, and a third time he started. A third time he started. And then the words came to me. Finally, the words came. I had not understood the words. And then it came out. Thistle tassel, thistle tassel. I'm inviting everyone. I'm around Toastmasters for many years to come. And I'm inviting you just to come in, take the engaging humor, stretch yourself, and find your Pollyanna, find your laughter. I'm going to be around for years. How about you, Toastmaster?
Laugh at your mistakes. And she has invited us to find our laughter and to join in hers. Toastmaster Sandra Valks, thank you for that. Our second speaker this morning is none other than Toastmaster Elena Constantinou. Toastmaster Elena, excuse me, will be evaluated by Mfundo Delilazo. Toastmaster Mfundo, please tell us what the objectives of Elena's speech are.
Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Mfundo is not in the meeting. I can take on their part.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baron. Please proceed. Toastmaster Baron, do you have the details or should I move to the next speaker?
Perhaps let's move to the next speaker, then I'll be back right after.
Thank you. Our third speaker of today is Toastmaster Renan Ercilla. I hope I've said that right. Hello, Toastmaster Renan. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you. And to evaluate Toastmaster Renan's speech, we have Toastmaster Paramjit Singh. Toastmaster Paramjit, please tell us the objectives of Renan's speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Terrence. Toastmaster Renan, welcome to the club. He's presenting his icebreaker speech today. And the purpose statement of this icebreaker speech is, the purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. The speech length is 4 to 6 minutes. Best of luck, Mr. Renan. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Paramjit. In case you're wondering who Renan is, and before he comes on and tells us about himself, he has been a Toastmaster for 4 years. He's a human resource practitioner, and he loves reading books. He loves Toastmastering, watching Netflix, and Malibig, among other things. The title of Renan's speech today is Morning Rituals. Morning Rituals, Renan. Renan, Morning Rituals. Are you there? We seem to have lost Renan. We can wait for a minute. Are you back, Renan?
Renan seems to have dropped off, so we can go to the ideally intended second speaker, who is Rozy Odundo, and her evaluator is Rozy Odundo, and the second evaluator
is Hannah Schmidt. Yes. Thank you. We go to our second speaker, Toastmaster Rozy Odundo. Toastmaster Rose, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
To evaluate Toastmaster Rose, we have Toastmaster Hannah Schmidt. Hannah Schmidt, please tell us what Toastmaster Rose's speech is about.
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Rose is going to speak from the presentation mastery. Level 1, Project 2, Evaluation and Feedback. It will be her second speech. And the purpose statement is, the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback and apply the feedback to a second speech. The purpose of this speech is for the member to demonstrate that she has applied the feedback received from her first speech. Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah. Toastmaster Rose, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm well.
Is it morning or afternoon where you are?
It's actually evening here.
Okay. I know you're from Kenya, but I don't know if you're in Kenya right now.
Yes, I'm in Kenya.
Awesome. We are in the same time zone, so let's proceed. All right. So Toastmaster Rose will be presenting a speech, and the title of her speech is The Great Climb, My Journey Up Mount Sinai. My Journey Up Mount Sinai, The Great Climb, Toastmaster Rose Odundo. The virtual stage is yours.
Have you ever climbed a mountain? By a show of hands, how many of us have ever climbed a mountain? It's something courageous, and I would suggest we all try it. I'll fill you in my journey climbing Mount Sinai. This was way back in 2012 when I, my husband, and my daughter decided to be brave and go and climb this sacred mountain, which has a lot of religious background to it. It's the mountain where Moses was given the 10 Commandments by God, as believed by the Christians, Jews, Muslims alike. And when we got to the mountain, which is in Egypt, we started off just before midnight, and we started at the base. As we began, I was full of trepidation. Much as I was excited, I didn't know what to expect. There was so much fear of the unknown. We were armed with our walking sticks, with our rucksacks, with water, with a torch and very warm clothes. And we were advised not to try straying around on our own, but to walk together with a group of Christians we had gone with, mainly aged from 40 years and above. And as we were down there wondering what the climb would be like, we looked up at this 7-kilometer mountain, and being so dark, with just a little ray of moonlight, we couldn't quite make what to expect. And there were many vendors, there were Bedouins, those are the desert, people who live in the desert, and we had many voices speaking to us, some of encouragement and some of discouragement, trying to tell us that we wouldn't make it. And they had camels, and they were asking us to get on their camels. And we had been warned not to try getting on the camels, for many have fallen, and many have fallen asleep and not been able to wake up. We were very careful not to get on there. But we had to keep our focus. We wanted to get to the top. We wanted to challenge ourselves. And that's exactly what we did. I remember the words of Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar reminded us that you don't have to be great to start, but you need to start to be great. So up we went, and we climbed. And as we kept going, we had the voices speaking to us, one after another, the camels, get on the camels, join us on the camels. And we said we will not do that. And as we went up, it got harder and harder. The place was a little slippery, it was steep, and we kept going. And I found myself encouraging everyone we're with and telling them, we can do it, we can make it. It's possible, we're going to get there. And we just kept going on. And at some point we stopped at a camp. And at that camp, we were given a little bit of rest. And as we rested, we got some other voices telling us you wouldn't make it. But we determined to persevere and go on. And as we continued, I continued encouraging people very eloquently, telling them that we can make it. We're not going to give up. We came here with a purpose. And as we continued going, now from camels, we got donkeys. The animals got smaller. And these donkeys were there. And we're being told, get onto our donkey, come onto our donkey. we were determined to make it on our own. And we had our guide with us who kept going on. My daughter was not very well, so she was not very fast, but we kept encouraging her. And then we got to the third point, which is Elijah's Rephidim. And at this point, we were exhausted. We sat down, took a break, got up again, some little coffee and water, and continued with the journey. And as we continued, we now had 750 steps to go, very steep and very vertical. And we were so determined to make it. My daughter almost gave up, but we told her we can do it. And as we continued the climb, it was very steep, very narrow, and we had some coming down, some going up, but we persevered, and we finally made it to the top, where we broke out in song and dance with the little energy we had, and we were really, really, really excited. It taught me a few lessons which I can relate to life. When we begin a project, and especially as leaders, as we begin, we get very worried. We get very, very concerned as to whether we'll make it or not. We have many voices speaking to us differently, and we're not sure of which way to go. But as we continue with the journey, we realize that we have shortcuts. People are telling us to take camels, to take donkeys, and we have decisions to make. Things become a bit harder in life, and we have more difficult decisions to make. And we depend on those around us, those voices of encouragement as we move along. But as we get to the 750 steps, we were very few, and not many people were willing to go to the top. So at that top of leadership, it gets very lonely. You're almost alone, and you have to draw strength from yourself. So I learned that this journey of life, as it was with climbing, takes resilience. It takes looking inside yourself, keeping your vision and your focus on where you want to go, and not giving up. We need to have courage. We need, number 2, to have that resilience and never to give up. Number 3, we need to learn to stick to the vision. Persevering through all the difficulties, we need to stick to the vision. Let's be people with courage. Let's be people who can persevere. Let's be people who can go through that hardship without shortcuts. And finally, let us be a people who can stick to the vision. I will end with what Confucius told us. It doesn't matter how slow you go. What matters is that you do not stop. Friends, let's keep going on this journey of life, and we will make it to the top. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster.
Toastmaster Rose. You don't have to be great to start, but to be great, you have to start. Thank you for that reminder, even as we weave our own stories and as we think of climbing our own mountains. Our third speaker this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time zone you're joining us from, is Toastmaster Elena Constantinou. Toastmaster Elena, are you there?
Hello.
Hi,
Yes.
How are you?
Very well,
Good
thank
to see you. Good to see you. And to evaluate Toastmaster Elena's speech is none other than Toastmaster Paramjit Singh. Toastmaster Paramjit? Oh, sorry, Toastmaster Mfundo. Toastmaster Mfundo, please tell us what Elena's speech is all about.
I will take on for Toastmaster Mfundo.
Thank you.
Toastmaster Elena's speech today is delivered from the innovative planning pathway, and it is a speech about the results or the experience of building a new social media presence or enhancing an existing presence, as well as the benefits of social media. That is the key purpose of Toastmaster Elena's speech today. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baron. Indeed, since I joined Leadership Speak, I've observed Toastmaster Elena commenting on matters social media. And this moment, we're going to hear as she talks about this. The title of Elena's speech is Decoding Social Media. Decoding Social Media, Elena Constantinou. The virtual stage is yours.
Today, right now in this forum, I invite us to celebrate our imperfections. I have been working on Level 4 Toastmasters project of building a social media presence for 6 months now. This is a project which has had an incredible impact on me, and I'm here to share my story. This story begins with a villain. Dear Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and valued guests, my villain was my childhood trauma. You see, as a child living in a very small community in Cyprus, everyone was always watching you. This is a community which has not undergone Renaissance and Enlightenment. So you understand there was a lot of watching each other, criticizing, judging, and gossiping. Now, I had a lot of things for people to gossip about. I was a good student, an athlete, a good dancer. I was tall, not bad looking. So I was blessed. Yet others gossip and envy were always dragging me down. Hence, I became very reluctant to share my stories, and I became closed and private. Now, fast forward 35 years, my strong aversion to social media was based on that trauma. Well, nonetheless, my business partner was insisting, Elena, if we don't let people know about us, how are we going to grow our business? Joining the stage of the story, a Toastmasters project, our hero. Here we go. Let's build a social media presence. But how? Anyone else here who has completed this project or is struggling with social media? For me, this ordeal reminds me of a saying by Elon Musk, who said, running a startup, or in my case, navigating social media marketing, is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. This is exactly how I feel about social media, like pain, like chewing glass, and the disappointment of staring into the abyss. Is it irrational? Sure. Was I feeling it? Deeply. So I started with a speech on the 10th of August and a strategy. I first found an advisor, an expert professional, and we spent hours aligning on the what and the how, and examining examples and building a portfolio of ideas. I also paid her 4 months in advance, so I would have the financial pain moving me in the right direction. I searched and searched for my unique value proposition, and how easy it was to identify that. It still felt like chewing glass. I made a list of 30 topics I wanted to explore through my posts and which would add value to my audience, and things I know well that I have a passion for. Simple things, but tried and tested concepts which my university students and workshop participants have resonated with in the past. And then I started writing. How did it go? Well, the magic of Toastmaster projects worked. I'm on post 19 in just 2 months. And I have to say, I'm enjoying writing about things I'm passionate about. Some of the times I get plenty of comments from friends and family. Sometimes I even get wonderful interactions with new connections. It still feels like staring into the abyss sometimes when your posts don't receive any comments. But do you know what? It does not matter. I'm happy. I'm balanced. I have beaten my fears. And this is where I want to celebrate our imperfection. We don't need to be perfect to come out and make an eloquent statement, but we need to be authentic and we need to be true. Professional, dignified, honest about giving something to others, really authentic, and maybe a little poetic as well. Oh, my darling, it is true. Beautiful things have dents and scratches too. We are all perfectly imperfect, and that is perfectly all right too. Toastmaster Terrence.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elena. Indeed, we are perfectly imperfect. And as I said earlier, we keep on weaving our stories as we go. You don't have to be perfect to start. Your social media presence doesn't need you to be perfect to begin with. We segue into the fourth speaker, Toastmaster Renan. Toastmaster Renan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm back.
Welcome back. To help evaluate the speech by Toastmaster Renan, I'll invite Toastmaster Paramjit. Toastmaster Paramjit, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Renan is presenting his icebreaker speech, and the project purpose is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of public speech. Speech length is 4 to 6 minutes. Best of luck, Toastmaster Renan. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Paramjit. As I had said, Toastmaster Renan has been a Toastmaster for 4 years. He culminates his 4th year by joining Leadership Speak. As he delivers his icebreaker speech, I'll have you know that he's a human resource practitioner and he loves reading books, Toastmastering, watching Netflix, among other things. I believe Toastmaster Renan is a storyteller. Help me welcome Toastmaster Renan as he presents his icebreaker about his morning rituals. So morning rituals, Renan, Ercilla, morning rituals. The virtual stage is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Fellow Toastmasters, guests. My name is Renan Ercilla, and yes, I'm a HR professional, and I would like to share to you my morning routine, what I am doing when I wake up in the morning. But I want to ask you, how do you start your day every time you wake up in the morning? Maybe we are doing the same. Maybe we are different. But me, I wake up 10 or 11 already in the morning. As I work in the business process outsourcing as an HR professional, it is a deputy manager role following the Western time from 1 to 10 in the evening. The first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, I fold the bedcloth and set the pillow properly on the bed. Then go to the kitchen to drink the coffee. Imagine starting my day with the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee, filling my senses, awakening the mind and gearing up for the challenges ahead. As I sip that steaming cup of motivation, I remember that I hold the power to make the day extraordinary. After drinking a coffee, imagine the indulging in a nourishing brunch. Brunch means late for breakfast and early for lunch as I wake up in the morning 10 or 11. the fueling body with the energy it needs to conquer the challenge on my face at work. I feel the taste that every bite brings me closer to success. Each mouthful, a reminder of the strength. I know everyone deserves this moment of self-care because the energy we get from food is an investment in ourselves to face the challenges every day. After eating the brunch and then brushing my teeth, I step into a revitalizing shower that washes away any lingering doubts or uncertainties. I feel the water cascading over me, cleansing not just my body, but also my spirit. For me, this let go of yesterday's worries and embrace the renewed sense of purpose that each droplet of the shower brings. Then when I dress up for the day ahead, I choose the attire with the intention and let clothing reflect the confidence and determination that reside within. Like slack pants, long sleeve, or or polo shirt. And sometimes I use necktie if I will attend formal meetings. I feel that each piece of clothing I put on my body is a statement of my readiness to face whatever challenges come my way. Then finally, there's that last glance in the mirror to pause before heading out the door, to give myself one final look before leaving the house. For me, this more than just checking my outfit. It's a moment of self-care. It's a moment of self-assessment if I'm ready for the challenge ahead. These morning rituals, those simple and seemingly mundane fellow Toastmasters and guests, for me, it plays a crucial role in how I approach life. Waking up, having a coffee and breakfast, bathing, dressing up, and that last look at the mirror, they may appear ordinary, but for me, it's a stepping stone toward productivity, toward facing challenges, and toward success. Morning rituals are your rituals, maybe too. So let's not underestimate the power of these routines. Let's embrace each step and remember that these small actions collectively build the foundation of our daily lives. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Wow. Morning rituals. I've never thought of it that way. So every time going forward, every time I leave the house, I'll be taking that one last look before leaving in a moment of self-reflection and assessment. Thank you for that new tool in my arsenal. We move to the fifth and final speaker of the day, Toastmaster Alfin. Toastmaster Alfin, how are you this morning, evening, or whatever time zone you're joining us from? Toastmaster Alfin? He doesn't seem to be in the room. Toastmaster Alfin doesn't seem to be in the room. All right, we segue to the next segment.
He is in the room.
Is he in the room now?
He is in the room.
Toastmaster Alfin? How are you? Say hi if you can hear me, Toastmaster Alfin.
Either Toastmaster Alfin is facing technology trouble or away from their device, so we could move on to the next segment.
Thank you. I will call upon the timekeeper Marikuza, if I to pronounce it correctly, to post the timings of the various speakers. As she does that, Toastmaster Alfin, are you still facing the challenge? Can we segue to the next segment then? That seems to be the case. At this point, I'll also call upon the webmaster, the Zoom master rather, so used to the web, thanks to the stories that have been weaved in this meeting. Zoom master, please launch the polls. I encourage you to vote for the best effort speaker. If you've just joined us, welcome to Leadership Speak. We are at the point where we are casting our votes or ballots. Guests, please sign the guest book that has been shared in the chat. We love you and we hope to see you again, and we hope to connect with you. And to help us do that, please fill in the guest book. Thank you, Zoom Master. We segue into the next segment of our meeting, which is the evaluations. Our evaluations will be run by our general evaluator, the amazing, the coffee maker, Toastmaster Rozy Rana. Toastmaster Rozy Rana, distinguished DTM, over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, Terrence, for executing the meeting so proficiently till now. As you have rightfully said, this is the section where we will assess the different sections and the different areas of the meeting. So I'll right away invite our first evaluator, who is Daniel Omondi, to evaluate the toast of the day by Barbara Jarvis. So over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Barbara, for that great toast, with a lot of eloquence. You had a great opening, telling us about the tales, the tales of triumphs. Each of us have a story to tell in Toastmasters and how we weave them in. You had great phrases and great stories to weave in there. Talked about what we go through as Toastmasters, telling the stories we live through that bring them to life. Fantastically done. Some of the statements you made, some of the great statements that caught my attention was like, each of us teach one of us. And this brought home the message of the theme of the day, tales of triumphs, from tales to triumphs that we all go through. You also told us about how Toastmasters bring in stories from the different aspects of their lives, how the challenges are made, how we gain something from the challenges we have got through. This was done extremely well. An area that you could think of, consider, when we came out to giving the actual toast, you had mentioned the toast tool, which prepared us for that. The toast sentence was a little bit long because you said cheers to Toastmasters, where they share the tales of triumphs. Normally a sentence that is shorter would also be best. Maybe the tales of triumphs, and end at that level. And then when you end, remember always ask the members to start their videos, open your mics, and when you finish, back to the Toastmaster today, because we had a little bit of an uncomfortable situation where you had not said it back and the Toastmaster had to assume, but say it back to that. But all in all, great Zoom presence, eloquent toast given, captured the spirit of the theme, and done well. Thank you for that, Barbara, and I look forward to hearing more of your toasts. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Dan, for offering a very warm and encouraging evaluation to Barbara. I know she felt appreciated. I also liked how you commented on her opening, and I agree with you. However, for the opening to be very impactful, I think it would have been helpful for us to share with Barbara that rather than start with pleasantries like good morning and I'm here to propose a toast, just, Barbara, get into it by saying, every one of us has a story or every one of us has a tale to tell. But that said, I agree with you. Barbara spoke to the theme, she discussed stories, and because one has only 2 to 3 minutes to deliver a toast, so let's just get to it and not waste any time. Thank you very much, Dan. Well delivered, appreciative, encouraging, and I know that Barbara will be happy to deliver a toast again. Now I'd like to invite our next evaluator who will be evaluating our eloquent Toastmaster of the day, who was Terrence Were. To evaluate Terrence Were today, we have Ejura Okpanachi. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Ejura to evaluate Terrence today.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Rozy. Toastmaster Terrence, I thought you did an excellent job in navigating this meeting. I particularly enjoyed how you were engaging the speakers before they came on board to actually give their speeches. And I also liked how at the end of each of the speech, you were able to take away all the key points from their speeches. I thought you did that very well. I loved how you kept interacting with the guests as well. You made it a point to ensure that they filled up the guest books, and you mentioned something about, you said something like, if you are just joining in, we are at this point, we're at this point. So you were keeping them abreast of what was happening all through the meeting. Very well done for that. I also appreciate how you were able to not only navigate the challenging aspects of the meeting where certain speakers were not able to log in. They weren't able to come on board to speak. You and the Zoom master, I believe that was Toastmaster Baron, you both worked really well in moving along, especially when the speakers were not available or when there were network interruptions. I thought it was a very smooth transition because it wasn't obvious that there was anything wrong. You just kept it going. And I thank you for that. And while you were doing that, I saw that the WhatsApp chat group was active. When things were not going according to plan, you were there asking questions, what's going on? And it was just seamless. Nobody on the call knew what was happening behind the scenes, but you were handling things behind the scenes and also in front of the camera. So I applaud you on that. I don't have any recommendations per se. I think you handled the meeting really well. And like I said, you handled the challenges that came. You handled it seamlessly. I loved how you interacted with the guests and also how you interacted with the speakers before their speech delivery and how you were able to take out key points from their speeches. Thank you. Thank you very much, and well done, Toastmaster Terrence. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Ejura. You gave some very detailed observations of the Toastmaster of the Day's strengths. And I know the Toastmaster of the Day who started this session today by saying that being the first time he was being a Toastmaster at Leadership Speak, he was slightly nervous. So I know you have now encouraged him and made him much, much more confident because indeed he delivered with poise. My only reservation really is, while I agree with you, the meeting moved seamlessly, even though some of the role players were not here. In many ways, I would like to give commendations, greater commendations to our Zoom master today, because I felt the Toastmaster of the Day missed that evaluator, Mufundo, had been told he's not here, but then again called on him. So if anything, I would like to encourage Terrence that the next time you are a Toastmaster of the Day, make it a point that you are looking at the participant list. You are aware if anybody is missing, so that you can very quickly either fill in or request somebody so that there is no disruption. So it's really wonderful and marvelous how Baron, as the Zoom master, doubled up, and it's huge appreciation to Baron for that. But that said and done, you set the tone, you were seamless, you made sure that everything went per plan, there was nothing missed out at all. So very, very, very well done, Terrence. And Ejira, you have made my role very easy because the Toastmaster of the Day has been evaluated already. So we'll move on now right away to the leadership education speaker, who was Nzinga Jasse. And to evaluate Nzinga, we have Tony Bratchets. Tony, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially you, Nzinga. Oh, love your story because I'm also a compliance officer. So, however, your presentation was to be a keynote presentation to tell story. And the title of your presentation was Weaving for Your Success. You use storytelling here in a eloquent manner. You told stories to tell stories to tell stories. You did a lot of weaving. For example, you open up about the story of the tortoise and the hare, which is an Aesop's fable. And you relate it to how your brother claimed to be the hare, and he went to the United States. And then you shifted over to another story about yourself being a compliance officer. And you told a story again about James, who was fired because of conflicts of interest. So along the way, you use storytelling. How you opened your presentation was extremely powerful, because you did say that storytelling is a powerful tool. And of course, you're applying this to everyday applications, including business. And in business, one of the key marketing experts is a gentleman named Seth Godin, who indeed did say that the sharing of ideas is the most powerful concept in our civilization, which is what you were doing. I have an idea for you to consider. You're trying to relay to us, you have successfully relayed to us how storytelling is powerful. So you told us what it is. I would have liked to have known how to first use storytelling to a live audience. In other words, how do you hook your audience to maintain attention? Another expert is a fellow named Carmen Gallo, who wrote a book, the leading book on TED Talks. And Carmen Gallo said, to hold your audience's interest, you have to grab them in the first 8 to 12 seconds. So what technique would you suggest how we could use to hook our audience to storytelling, to make sure that they stay tuned to the eloquent messages you are giving? In summary, I believe the genius of your presentation was that the story you told about Aesop's fable. I have a book here. You might not see it because of the glare. It is Aesop's fable. There's 50 stories in there. You told us that a good way to tell a story is to use a story, such as one from Aesop's fable. Or if we need to, use a fairy tale. I used a Cinderella once to tell a keynote speech. So powerful messaging in many different ways. How you were using weaving to help us achieve success. Powerful. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. You did an excellent job in pinpointing our speaker's unique style of delivering her education presentation and made suggestions on certain things that could have been incorporated. I really liked that you gave insights, you gave educational tips in the process of delivering your evaluation. You also noted yourself that there was that reflection when you tried to show us something, because it is true, there was a glare and we couldn't get it. Yeah. I don't know quite why I'm not on the screen and you are, but that's fine. You are better looking, so I'm quite happy for that. Thank you very much. I would like to add to what Tony has said for Nzinga. As speaking about storytelling, as everyone, it's a fantastic theme, and I commend the Toastmaster of the Day for picking this for leaders today. Stories do something to the brain's neurology, and we, the audience, get hooked. And I think that's what Tony was looking for, saying, how can you grab us? And I believe there were missed opportunities because stories evoke emotions. And Nzinga, you had many opportunities, whether it was talking about your brother or talking about the hare who really fell asleep, to bring in emotion, to bring in gestures, maybe just show the hair suddenly going slow and saying, no, that's a misalignment. But, bringing the emotion within your voice, bringing vocal variety rather than staying in one tone, so that you are bringing elements of storytelling as you deliver an education on storytelling. But great insights, very well done. I'm not sure, actually, I did see the timers, yeah. So if there's one other thing I would recommend, you had, I believe, 15 to 20 minutes. So work again on a professional keynote presentation to fill the time. You tried to engage us, perhaps engage a bit more, because you were short of time. You were at about 14 minutes when you were allowed. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe you had up to 20 minutes to deliver that presentation. But very, very well done. I presume this is your first time to deliver a keynote, so congratulations. Thank you. So we move on now to our first speaker of the day, who was Sandra Valks. And to evaluate Sandra as she reflected on her path is Irene Sadia. Welcome, Irene.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator Rozy. Congratulations, Sandra, on completing your engaging humor pathway. What did I enjoy the most, or what you excelled at? You started off by telling us the unexamined life is not worth living, which is in tandem with the very objects of this pathway, this project, to reflect on how far you've come and where you plan to go. What else did you do well? Right at the beginning of your speech, there was an awkward moment where you said you were not ready. And you used humor to deflect an awkward moment instead of oops, but you used humor and gradually moved into your presentation. I really enjoyed that. You also demonstrated to us how you have used humor in your life. So it's a skill you've learned and you've used it, where you talked about the loss of a job, the loss of a marriage, and the loss of your son. And we could see how you mentioned that even as you were eulogizing your son with tears down your cheeks, you still used humor. I really enjoyed that. Of course, your gestures were on point. Your tonal variation was great. What could you do better, Sandra? I noticed that you were, at moments, you were really, really fast. So at the point where you were talking about eulogizing your son, you kind of rocketed through it. I suggest you could have paused or gone a little slower to allow the moment to sink in for us, your audience. Overall, Sandra, I really enjoyed your speech. I liked how you handled awkward moments at the beginning, how you have used humor to walk us through the pain points of your life, and how also through the pathways that you've taken since you became a Toastmaster. And I had that I felt invited into your speech. I had authenticity and eloquence, and what I will do and what I hear you will do, that you are going to be around for many, many years. How about me? How about us? If you incorporate all these, the points that I have mentioned that you could improve on, and all the things that you made us feel, Sandra, your speeches will be even better. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Irene. You gave a very thoughtful evaluation. Your ability to connect with the speaker, your ability to really get into that person, pick strengths, and pick out areas of improvement was really well done. You were comprehensive and very balanced, clear, focused. You delivered your evaluation slowly with poise. We could, made sure we could hear everything that you said, and you covered Sandra's speech extremely well. Sandra, I know you have this tact, I don't know how you do it, of sending evaluations to everyone while listening to everyone. I wish I could have your strength, your capabilities. I can only do one thing at a time. I really like your firm appreciation of the person you are and remaining true to that person, because you always say, this is me, I want to, I'm the queen of straight talk, and this is how I'm going to be. I like that you compared yourself, therefore, to Rozy and Paramjeet in taking this path, because you were saying, we're different, you are you, and I am me. If there's one thing I would caution you on, because I really liked how you delivered the reflection, you examined how you had taken on this path. If there's one thing I'd caution you on is having this preconceived notion of, I want to be exactly this way. Because when you do it like that, sometimes when feedback comes, because you are so determined to stick to one direction, you may not embrace it fully. I believe you have taken humor, you have wanted to make, and I fully get, we are not stand-up comedians. You don't necessarily want to get those belly laughs or whatever, but sometimes somebody might be trying to direct you. So don't be as rigid. All in all, congratulations. You have done fantastic in doing what I believe is the hardest part. And like you, I'm also moving to dynamic leadership. Stay who you are, keep giving us that feedback, and also embrace feedback. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to our next speaker, who was Rose Odundo. And to evaluate Rose Odundo, I welcome Hannah Schmidt. Over to you, Hannah.
Thank you, Madam GE. Rose, wow, welcome to the Club of Storytellers. What an amazing storyteller you are. Opening the speech with a question, you had me engaged immediately. Capturing my attention is how you would, or you and your family would go about climbing Mount Sinai. You started right at the beginning with all your organizations of your trip. You described to be full of trials and tribulations. I expected more vocal variety and show more emotions about your excitement you and your family were going to use to travel or to climb Mount Sinai. What I found contributing to your excitement, you showed me the equipment you and your family had to take with. Wow, what a schlep. Sitting down and drinking water enhanced the trials and tribulations that you experienced. Yet only at a 5-minute break, you started with your analogy, comparing your journey with climbing Mount Sinai with your journey in life and the courage and resilience to carry on. I anticipated that you would speak a bit more on this subject because it interests us all to compare our journey in life with what we have experienced, like climbing Mount Sinai. The hands form a great part of your presenting a speech. They emphasize your emotions. And here I want to challenge you to look at the video to see how you can improve on that. Definitely worthwhile looking at that. As for the components of a story, you had the characters, your family, you had the setting, all the excitement climbing Mount Sinai. You had the plot that you have reached the top of Mount Sinai. Now I have a challenge for you to improve, and that challenge is to improve on your tone and on your mood. How exciting that would be, that you've reached the top and everything that you have experienced along the way, the trials and the tribulations. Making full use of the screen is another challenge I have for you. Toastmasters, climbing our own mountain in Toastmasters is not on how slow you go, as long as you go. Climb that mountain, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Hannah, for delivering that feedback enthusiastically and definitely with helpful insights for the speaker. I also want to commend the speaker who delivered this speech about climbing a mountain and the lessons learned with oomph. And she took us on the journey climbing the mountain, talked about how related it to leadership and how one has to have a vision, keep focused to that vision, have courage, have resilience, be persevering. But I agree with you, Hannah, maybe build on those lessons so that we really take them home. Well done, Hannah, in delivering an evaluation which was very balanced. You give both ways, you challenge the speaker, and that's very good. And I'm sure that speaker will take your challenge on board. We'll now move on to Elena's speech and to evaluate Elena. And once again, I want to thank Baron for coming in to the rescue. So Baron Ochola, I'm not sure who will spotlight you because you're the Zoom master, but I'm sure you've worked it out. Well, there you go. You have. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Toastmaster, General Evaluator, rather. And it is a pleasure to take this on, especially evaluating a speaker such as Elena. Now, in Elena's delivery, I want to note very well that the purpose of the speech was well accomplished because it is about building a social media presence. And she didn't speak about anything else other than building a social media presence. So if you were to ask me if it was relevant, I would ask you why you didn't listen to the speech, because it clearly was. That is incredible. The next thing to it is her storytelling, the way she weaved the story from her childhood and how that led to her anxiety, you could call it, of social media, of sharing her story. And then 35 years later, she's in a position where she is compelled to ensure that she builds a social media presence for the sake of the business and also for the sake of relevance for the world that we live in now. Incredible storytelling. I particularly like how you turned the quote from Elon Musk about how running a company, and for your example, it was running a social media account, can feel like chewing glass and staring down an abyss. You turned that quote into an analogy as you delivered your speech. That is something that I am happy that I caught and I thought was well done. So much to go on about on the positives, but improvement is the main reason why we have evaluation, so I will get into that session. The first is when you began, there was a little bit of hesitation, right? And you took it a bit slow for the first, I would say 10 seconds. And yet, if you had dived right in with your first statement, which was about building a social media presence, that would have been more captivating, would have got our attention better. Then the next is the While there was hesitation, there was a start with but that is still the hesitation. The next is the time. You used 5 minutes and 14 seconds when you had 5 minutes to 7 minutes. That means you had about, if we were to count the extra 30 seconds, you had about 2 minutes that you could have used to inform us more. And an example of what you could have informed more on is the results, because most of your story, the story was supposed to focus on two things: results and experience. So you shared a lot about your experience, but then about the results, all you highlighted was you've shared 19 posts now in 2 months, which is incredible growth. But then you could have expounded more on that. And that leads me to the last point, the call to action. You could have also had the call to action of, let's engage on this platform such that we have this engagement. Or all of you, I call upon you to take on this project. Or when it feels like you're chewing glass and staring down an abyss, this is what you do and that's what you do. So in summary, you excelled at the purpose of the speech, storytelling, the delivery, but finally, the start, the time, as well as the call to action could use a little bit of work. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Baron. Today's theme being storytelling, I loved how you encouraged the speaker, Elena, to carry on with her storytelling skills, which she uses masterfully. I agree with you in her future speeches. You also had very balanced feedback, and even as you highlighted the speaker's strengths, which she has many, you were watching the time and you quickly realized, listen, what's going to be more useful is if I give the speaker improvement points, and you jumped in swiftly to that. So congratulations on delivering this evaluation, really balanced really well and making sure that the speaker benefits from the same. I agree with Baron, Elena, with everything he said, but particularly that beginning and how it took you a little bit of hesitation coming up. I encourage you to go back and observe how you came in, because either you were not aware because we already have our eyes on you, or you were just getting yourself ready, but you were like this first and then you were like that first. So you're already on stage even before you come on stage. So just be careful on that. And Baron took that as hesitation, and I think correctly so. But all in all, you are a masterful storyteller. And wow, I loved how you talked about that villain and that being your childhood trauma. That sort of stuck with me. It was beautifully done. Thank you. So moving on to our final speaker, who was Renan. With morning rituals, I'd like to invite Paramjit Singh to evaluate Renan's speech. Over to you, Paramjit.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Rozy, Rana. Morning is where the magic begins. It sets the tone for the day, a week ahead, even I think even a month ahead, and even our life ahead. And one who has mastered his mornings is already on the path of success in his life. And today, Toastmaster Renan has conveyed to all of us the power of morning ritual and inspired us with a very well-presented, well-written, well-prepared speech, where he just doesn't inform us about the morning rituals, but how every ritual is helping him, giving the power to him to prepare for the day. It led me to introspect about my rituals, my morning ritual, how I am spending my mornings, and how to look at the different angles in the early morning. The things which stood out for the speech for Toastmaster Renan are a very well-written speech, very well prepared, and very good, lot of good use of vocabulary. I could feel every word when he was saying, like he was saying, the aroma. I could feel the aroma, the nourishment, and the bath. How I could feel that with the gesture, with the tone, the use of tone. I could feel that I was with him. I could understand. I can feel all those things what he was telling to us. Now the structure of the speech. Very, very good opening with the engaging question. A perfect body with a loads of information he wanted to share with us about him, about his rituals, from where we could understand what a man he is. And with synchronized gestures and well-used pauses. Toastmaster Renan, your Zoom presence was very fine, well-lit room, good background, no blurring, as well as very well centeredly placed in the box. Of course, the things which could add star to your presentation are, of course, you are eloquently informed about your morning rituals. And however, what I felt is about your face. You're very serious while delivering the speech. A smile on your face would have added to value and would have engaged even further to all of us. And your energy, you can add more energy to whatever you're saying. Whatever you're saying, the tone was very good, but you can use that energy also for delivering that speech in it. More like it engages more with the people. With your all good storytelling techniques, very good structure, as well as very good tone, adding just a smiling face which made you a star speaker. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Paramjit, for delivering an evaluation which was very encouraging to Renan. You embraced his speech. We could feel that sincerity and authenticity when you delivered your evaluation. I like the suggestions. I like the encouragement. And maybe even for yourself, when you tell him to smile at that very moment, just like I am doing right now, do smile yourself too, because that is aligned with the recommendation you're giving a speaker, and they will be able to understand and appreciate the value of that smile. I would like to just add for Renan, just as morning rituals, like the first thing you do in the morning is very important, the first thing you say is very important. So when just earlier Tony talked about a TED talk where a speaker said that you have to grab your audience in the first 8 seconds. So make sure that in the 8 seconds that you speak, you're not saying good morning, etc. And I believe today, if you replay your presentation, Renan, you started with good morning, my name is Renan, etc. You have been introduced. Leave out those pleasantries. Just get to how do you start your day? Fellow Toastmasters, did you know that morning rituals can set the tone for the rest of the day, whatever else you want to say, because that will have more impact. It will remain resonating with the audience. But I agree with Paramjit's evaluation. He pointed out very, very many strong points. And yes, we have understood and appreciated what morning rituals do for us. So thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our speakers today. I would like to invite our timer, Marie-Cousine, to kindly put the timings of all the... Oh, wow. You're so fast and so efficient. Thank you so much. You did that as quickly for the speakers as you have for the evaluators. So I appreciate you very much. So this leaves me to now invite our grammarian, our eloquent grammarian, just to make sure that I bring out the word of the day. Eloquent grammarian, please come and share the report of the day today, please.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, I had several eloquent speeches with memorable quotes, words, as well as phrases. For my report today, I'm going to start with the use of the word of the day, which, as I've said, is eloquent. The word was used by at least 10 times. Tony 3 times, Nzinga twice, Dan Odero 3 times, Rozy 3 times, and probably someone else. So thank you for using those on the word of the day, eloquent, in your speeches. As I've said, I had several effective quotes which people used in their speeches. And in the interest of time, I will probably just cite a few. The quote by Socrates, which is from Sandra, that says, "The unexamined life is not worth living." I also heard from Elena, "Building a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss," which is Elon Musk, from Elena. There were several other memorable statements that I heard from others, like quotes, like the one from Zig Ziglar quotes, you don't need to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So this is memorable quotes that I think I encourage people to think about and use and look at the saying behind it. And I also have a number of phrases that I learned today. A lot of them are very thoughtful, like very thoughtful evaluation, warm and encouraging feedback, stories evoke emotions, and so on and so forth. I had a statement from someone that says that goes, there is a power in storytelling. I thought it would be better to say there is power in storytelling. So thank you so much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Grammarian John. You exhibited real listening skills as you delivered your report. It was evident you were listening for quotes, you were listening for good use of grammar, and you were listening for areas we could improve on. Thank you so much for that. And I liked how you brought in a word of the day that fit very well with the theme, and it was well used. I want to now request, even as I move on to give a final wrap up and evaluation, I want to request our Zoom master to please run the poll for the evaluators today. Thank you. That was so quick. I'll give everyone a few seconds to vote for their best evaluator or best effort evaluator. And I'll continue to the rest of the meeting. I think there's very little left for me because we have been evaluating the different sections. So I'll go to the very beginning of the meeting. I came in early, which is generally difficult for me, but I try, especially when I have the general evaluator role. And it was a treat to see how Hannah was there greeting and welcoming the visitors. I'm not sure if Atul was already there because I think he was the greeter, but it was so seamless that he came and took over. There was that warmth, that spirit of camaraderie and support that only our club has, with Baron and Brahm coming in to, every so often to recognize different people. I truly, truly appreciate that, which we have in our community. It's the one time when we connect with one another. We are members from 25 countries, so being able to talk to one another that short while, welcome guests, is really beautifully done. Hannah's always there with her guest book, so again, extremely well. I liked how Lydia, as the SAA, came in on time to pretty much cut our chatter, because that chatter can go on and it's so easy to get lost in it, but she sort of said, we have 2 minutes to it, we've got to get started. Very swiftly then got us quiet, introduced the Toastmaster of the day with aplomb, and we moved on. So all in all, I have thoroughly enjoyed the meeting. We had one speaker short because of Alfin's technology problems, but we are bang on time. There's just enough time for me to hand back to the Toastmaster to take over and do the awards and all. So it's a treat to see us going to be finishing on time. So thank you so much. It has been an honor, a privilege being your general evaluator today. And I pass the meeting back to the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you. Terrence.
Thank you, General Evaluator. A round of applause to all the role takers, all the speakers, and all who have made this meeting a success. At this moment, I want to call for the thoughts of the day, which will be delivered by, thoughts on the theme, which will be delivered by Sabnan Syed. Sabnan, over to you.
President, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening from my side of the world. Now, what is leadership? Leadership isn't just about giving orders or setting goals. It's about connecting with people. One of the most effective ways to do that is through storytelling. A well-crafted story has the power to move hearts and minds in ways that simple instructions cannot. It inspires, motivates, and helps others see the deeper meaning behind the work they do. Consider how great leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. used storytelling. His I Have a Dream speech wasn't just about policy changes and so on. It was about painting a vision of a better future for the people. Storytelling also makes abstract concepts tangible. A leader who shares stories of overcoming adversity or achieving small victories in the face of challenges inspires teams to do the same. It builds trust, fosters empathy, and encourages actions. In essence, leadership through storytelling is about creating a narrative that others want to be a part of. As a leader, the stories you share have the potential to shape not just the present, but the future your team believes in. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sabnan. Indeed, the stories we tell have the potential to shape the outcomes. At this point, I invite the Zoom master to share our results. Zoom master, are the results ready? Drum rolls. And the best speaker, we had Toastmaster Elena Constantinou. Congratulations, Toastmaster Elena. Our best evaluator, drum rolls, please. And our best evaluator was none other than Toastmaster Thank you, Zoom Master. Please proceed to display the results for the evaluations, if they are ready. The evaluation polls. Toastmaster Irene Sadia. Congratulations, Toastmaster Elena and Toastmaster Irene. As we wrap up this meeting, dear guests, your time to interact with us is nay. It's just around the corner. So stick around as I conclude. And on that note, I'd like to encourage each one of us as leaders, as speakers, and in different spheres of life. At different stages of our stories, we either become villains or heroes to different people. But it's our honors as leaders to make sure that we are consistent with our story, to make sure that whatever story we begin with is the one that we end with. And I will share a simple tool that helps us in crafting compelling narratives. And the acronym is CRAFT. C is for characters. Well-developed, relatable. Who are your characters? Who are the characters in your story as a leader? Realization. The character's journey to self-discovery or revelation. What are the various aspects of your story that we can relate to? What mountains have you scaled? What rivers have you had to dive into? Realization. The character's journey comes to realization. What insights have you gotten as a leader? What is this pivotal point in your leadership story or in your leadership journey? Next, we have action. The actions help us move the plot forward. And in your case, what action have you taken? What efforts, what decisions led you to where you are right now? And last but not least, the F is for flair. The unique style, creative elements. As Sandra Valks always tells us, the straight talk. What is unique about your story? What about your story cannot be replicated by any other person? What about your story must be told only by you? What is authentic about your story? And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hand over to the president. Toastmaster Bram Memon.
Thank you, Terrence. Thank you very much for being the Toastmaster of the day. You are a relatively new member, yet you've done an excellent job. And we look forward to you doing this another time as well, so that you can keep practicing as to how to be a Toastmaster of the day. For those of you who are guests here today, let me tell you a little bit about Leadership Speak. We were chartered in February of 2022. So we are about 2.5 years old. So you would start to think, only 2.5 years old, should I really join this club? It's an advanced club. I need something more advanced. Well, that is nothing more advanced than this club, because in a year and a half, we were one of the top 5 clubs globally, not only in terms of the education awards, but also in terms of the quality, the service, and the excellence with which we pursue relentlessly how we pursue our leadership development. And hence the name Leadership Speak. That's the name of the club, is how we speak as leaders, how we get heard as leaders, and how we convey with confidence, with conviction, with credibility our message. And we are all learning at different levels as to what that is in this club. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to speak to our guests here who are here today. And I can see that Prakash is here. I haven't seen Prakash in a couple of years. So Prakash, welcome. And what brings you here today, Prakash?
You know what, I received an email, and I think I registered some time ago, and it was I think it was like a sign or something, because I read the email like 10 minutes before the meeting was to start, and I said, well, I guess I have to go to this meeting. So here I am. Haven't been to a Toastmasters meeting for a very long time, and it's good to reconnect with all of you.
Wonderful. Are you thinking of rejoining Toastmasters?
I am indeed. I am indeed.
Well, you know, I think I spoke to you about a couple of years ago when we were launching this club, I think, and you were interested at the time, but we never really finally got to connect. So if you are interested, just fill in the guest book. The link is there, and I'll connect with you later, and we'll see where we can take this to.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ram.
All right, Prakash, take care. Talk to you soon. Next, we have on my screen here, let's see. those who have been here on a regular basis, of course, I will not call on them, but we have Eunice Modanye. Hello, Eunice, are you there? All right, good.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm here.
oh, hi, Eunice. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
I'm doing great. Can you put on your video if it's possible, and tell us where you are from, what brings you here today, and did you learn anything at Leadership Speak today?
I'm a bit new here, so I was invited by one of your Toastmasters leaders, Dan Odero, and I am interested in joining Toastmasters, and I was just invited to listen in and learn and how to be a confident leader, because where I am right now, on a managerial role, and I want to learn more of how to be confident as a leader and learn more skills on top of that.
Wonderful. Well, looks like Dan invited you, and are you thinking of becoming a member at Leadership Speak? Is that what you're saying?
Pardon?
Are you thinking of becoming a member at Leadership Speak? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful.
Positive.
Absolutely, we would love to have you on board. If you can, if you fill in the guest book, we will get in touch with you. Either the vice president of membership or somebody else will get in touch with you. So just fill in the guest book. The link is in the chat. All right. Thank you, Eunice, and welcome, Karibu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. And next we have Noja Barnwell. Hello, Noja. Are you there? And I think all of the rest of them are members, or those people have a couple of guests have been here many, many times. Rhonda, Suzanne Rondo, sorry. Good to have you. And keep coming. And let us know when you are ready to join. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are a couple of things. If you are in North America, we will be changing our clocks on between 2nd and 3rd of November. So 3rd of November is a Sunday. Our clocks will fall back an hour. So if you're in North America or places that change the clocks and fall back an hour, you will be attending an hour earlier from November the 9th onwards meeting, which will be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Toronto, New York time. For those of you who don't change your clock, you'll keep attending at the same time. Now you'll notice that District 86, that's where we are. Leadership Speak is changing its own time for District 86 and North American so that the rest of the world attends at the same time. So we are really accommodating most of our members who are from other parts of the world who make up our membership rather than having them change, an hour later. Some of them would be attending at 1 o'clock at night if we did that, so we don't want to do that. Having said that, now we have some great events coming up. Next week, we are celebrating at Leadership Speak the 100th anniversary. So on October the 19th, we will be celebrating the 100th anniversary of Toastmasters International. If I can bring this up here on my screen, and if you can see right here, let's see. So Tony will be the Toastmaster of the day because he's our past district governor. And Rozy Rana will be raising the toast because, again, she's a Smedley's distinguished district director from District 114 and a member of Leadership Speak. So, of course, they should be taking the stage and the speaking and all that and acknowledging the 100 years that we've been here. But we'll also have a training session on critical thinking, which is very, very important in our presentations and our communication. So there'll be a similar event that we had in July 27th, I believe, a similar event happening on October the 19th. Following that, on October the 20th, so we have 4 days of straight celebration of the 100th anniversary. So on October the 28th, the Global Leadership Impact Summit will take place for 3 days. And on the 20th, we will have actually Tony present and Brent Pattison present, who is the co-founder of Leadership Speak, right? And of course, we are celebrating Ralph Smedley's legacy for those 3 days, actually starting from the 19th almost at our club and then going on to the bigger projects. So we'll have a global audience. Now, we'll also have an amazing event happening. It's Seema Golcha, who is a Toastmaster from Nepal. And she describes herself, it's her own words, a housewife who joined Toastmasters when was very afraid to talk and even say a word. But she joined Toastmasters because a friend of hers forced her. She was going to resign from Toastmasters, but continued. And today she's a professional ventriloquist that presents on stages like New York with Jerry Seinfeld, and I forget the other name. I think I've mentioned it before. So you don't want to miss this particular event. It's just amazing. And a Toastmaster who's become a professional ventriloquist, not just a speaker, but a ventriloquist. That's, I think, blows my mind. And she's a comedian, Sandra, by the way. So from not being able to speak at all to being a comedian ventriloquist is just incredible. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have a treat coming up. And of course, Tony will be talking on the 20th about how strong cultures create engagement, which is what all Leadership Speak is about, how we have this more than 50 members. And I've got a huge list of people who really want to join Toastmasters, I mean, our club for the next little while. And I'm then wondering, how can we accommodate all these people? So, we have a big list coming up because of our strong culture and the engagement that we create. We will also be having Rozy Rana coming up about critical thinking. She'll be speaking on the 21st. Brent will be speaking on the 20th about the book is written, and it's very, very relevant to Leadership Speak, especially, and to Toastmasters fraternity globally. So he'll be there, ladies and gentlemen. Then we will have DTM Emmett Kinsey, Lies That Leaders Believe. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, he was at the club here for 20 minutes, and now he's going to speak for almost an hour about that particular subject. Not to forget, Lance Miller will be here on the 22nd, which is the actual 100th anniversary date, and he's going to talk about leadership is everybody's business. Followed by, we will have the finalists of the 7-minute magic challenge on that particular day, which is my HPL project. So 2 HPL projects coming together on that particular day. And followed by that, the cream of the whole thing. And I'm sure you all want to attend that on the 22nd at around 1 p.m. approximate time. Luisa Montalvo will be there talking about her journey in Toastmasters and what makes us a great speaker and communicator. And that is the Global Leadership Impact Summit. So we have a full agenda of things that we're going to be doing at Leadership Speak and the projects from Leadership Speak over the next little while. It'll keep us all very busy. We'll all be learning a lot. That is the reason why we are one of the top clubs globally, actually the top club globally. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to pass this back on to our our chair of the meeting, Toastmaster of the day, to close the meeting. Terrence, where?
Thank you, Toastmaster Bram. With the powers invested in me, I adjourn this meeting. Zoom master, please stop the recording.